The reason I'm actually wearing Italian red na si Formula 1 leo ni because I am disassociating myself from that Maranello team until the season starts in Japan.
Santa Maria, the ones who make pasta and spaghetti.
Yeah. So I'd rather stick with Milan, who are also struggling.
Wait. You're disowning Ferrari.
I'm not.
You're jumping ship.
No, the season hasn't started. It's not yet time for Formula 1. So we are watching football for the time being before Formula 1 is ready. And if we have to do anything Italian, Milan is the way we are going. Milan. Anyway,
kufa na timu yako bwana.
Anyway, yes indeed, is the trouble man himself. Welcome here to another episode of the Pitboard discussions, and today we are foreshadowing Melbourne and Shanghai. Now, a lot went down in between those two races. First things first, let me introduce my guests. Hata si guests, sani wenyeji hapa at this point. Tuko na equal shares to some degree. To my left, the statman himself, Mushiri. Say hello.
Hello.
Doesn't have the spirit. Unajua Red Bull wamekuwa kiumia. And to my right,
what has been happening?
The color has gotten out of his hat. Anakuanga na kofia Red Bull ya blue. Leo imekuja ikiwa grey because the grey clouds are covering pale Red Bull arenas.
Is this grey?
What color is that?
It's not grey. Come on, man.
Usianze kutuambia mambo za sijui off white, sijui beige, sijui mambo gani hapo. Usianze hii mambo ya Hamilton uache. How are you feeling?
Feeling good, feeling great. Still confused about Red Bull. But we are waiting for Suzuka.
We're waiting for Suzuka when the official season begins.
Yes.
When the official season begins. So yes, that has been simply done. Unajitaje siku hizi?
Yeah, just done.
Just done.
Yes.
Just done. Now, let's get into it. First things first. Tuanze tu na Ferrari because there is no proper way to open the show. We'll have to start with them because before the season began, there were a lot of expectations from the Italian team.
This is our year.
Yeah, this is our year version. This is the 6th update of This Is Our Year.
6th?
Yeah, this is the 6th one. The 2018 one was the first installation. Then 2019. Then 2020 tuliforfeit, tulisema COVID and everything. Then 2021 we were back. No, 2021 pia tulikuwa tumeforfeit, tulikuwa tumesema ngojeni gari ya 2022. Then 2022 we were like we are back, and Charles unakumbuka the first two battles with Verstappen.
Yeah.
Then 23
nowhere.
We were supposed to carry on momentum yenye tulianza nayo 22.
And
then
Alonso's time
23 24. That is 5.
Kicked Binotto, brought in Fred.
Yeah. Then now the 6th one, 2025. Yeah, my math is right.
Kicked Carlos, brought in Hamilton.
Yeah.
And during Fernando, was it not your year?
Nah, Fernando was political. Fernando alikuwa amekuja politics. Getting rid of Felipe Massa and the likes.
Was the time he could have won the championship?
2012. But you know who he was dealing with? Do you know who he was dealing with? Do you know who he was battling the championship for?
Massa?
Even Massa couldn't.
Massa is still
in
still
2012 when Fernando Alonso was...
Wait, I thought Felipe stopped pursuing.
You're Hamilton.
I'm just trying to show him how this is our year, how long it has been happening.
I know, but I'm saying this in the modern era, in the 6th version. The Indio update ya sita. The 6th update. You get me?
The 6th version of This Is Our Year.
2012, I don't think we were walking in 2012 talking about This Is Our Year. First things first, Fernando dragged that car into place it didn't deserve to be. Hiyo gari haikuwa ina deserve kuwa pale ilikuwa. Fernando alikuwa anafanya the Lord's work. Now, Australia was a tricky situation. Wacha niite hivyo.
For everybody.
And it was a great performance by Ferrari because they finished, was it P8 and P9? Ama P9, P10. It was just
barely into the points.
Barely into the points. And there was a point in the race they were leading.
Was it for a lap or two? Was it even for a full lap?
It
is like when Albon was leading in China.
We'll even call it leading.
And we were watching this race at K1. We were watching
a couple of corners. Let's say they were leading.
Hear me out. We were watching this race at K1, and at that moment my eyes lit up. Hamilton win. I could see the papers. I'm not Hamilton, but I could see the papers.
Are you intoxicated that early in the morning?
Yeah, we were still from the intoxication from the yesternight.
Unajua
ilikuwa an early race, ilikuwa 7 am.
TMI, Ferrari please.
Yeah, anyway, so my eyes lit up and I knew, you know what? If these guys do their calculations properly, we could actually get something from this race.
Wait.
Like that Denzel meme. I'm living here with something. I'm living here with something. You feel me? We will be getting such a situation. But
who? Calculation.
These
right.
guys
and Ferrari
had not even pitted. They were still on hards. The track is slippery as. There is no dry line, you know, when the track is where people try and look for that dry line.
Yep.
And guys were spinning off left, right, and center. By the way, shout out to Oscar Piastri because the recovery drive he made from that Australian GP, crazy stuff. And guys were.
Did he overtake Hamilton on the last lap?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah,
No.
he did.
He did.
See, Ferrari, it was a P8, P9.
No, P8, P10. Charles P8, Hamilton P10.
Yeah, so anyway, and Ferrari were like, listen, guys, do not worry about it. Next race, everything will be good. And yes, everything was good in the next race. Because the next race was Shanghai. And it was a sprint race. First things first, in between the week, tulikuwa tumeanza kusikia fununu, cargo za watu zimepotea, sijui Mercedes, hiyo ship, the cargo train ilienda sijui wapi, the freight train went where, something happened, sijui to the Red Bull car, sijui people have stolen parts.
Yeah?
Tulikuwa tumesikia mambo mingi hapo katikati. And the Ferraris were already locked and loaded. DHL walikuwa wamefanya kazi yao.
Oh really? I thought Ferrari also affected.
Then no. Hao walikuwa mapema bana. Hey, mafia. These are the guys controlling the they're controlling logistics, the mafia. Anyway, so we go into Shanghai and then we get into the sprint. And he won the sprint. And we were like, we're back.
But what did Ferrari do to the car? Because Hamilton said something changed. The car he drove on Sunday felt very different than the car on Saturday during the sprint race.
It's a situation of overdoing things, overcooking food. If I'd had to put it, it's a situation of overcooking. Like, you know, okay, so it's sensitive now, let's tweak it a little bit to just see how it goes. Then unaharibu sasa kila kitu. You know that situation whereby you unaendanga kutweak kitu kidogo hivi, then like the house of cards unaenda sasa kuitengeneza vizuri tena inaporomoka yote. That's exactly what happened, according to me.
Yeah, exactly his third egg on Sunday was quite unusual. Yeah, but we saw a shade of things, or his excellent run from Friday and winning the sprint race on Saturday, not translating into good qualifying on Saturday. We could see from the position that he qualified, then we were like, that car wouldn't be as quick. I thought maybe they had set up maybe the sprint race, or they had set up the car for more towards quali for the sprint race, because I think it's a third of full race distance. Yeah, and maybe come Saturday qualifying, they had set up the car for the full 300. I think it's usually around 300 kilometers or something distance. But from where he qualified, I was like, that car something has changed. You know, and also to add to maybe one of the reasons why we didn't see the Saturday Ferrari performing on Sunday is also because Sunday it was cooler. It wasn't as hot as Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, it's really crazy that you mentioned tired egg, because on Saturday we saw shades of Hamilton, the tire whisperer, especially with the mind games he was playing with Max Verstappen. And I really enjoyed it because you could even hear from the commentators' assessment of the situation. You could tell like Hamilton was finally confident in his car. Like I haven't seen him that confident in a car since like 2021. Lewis looks like he's just left a very toxic environment. And the crazy thing is, everybody's doing their own thing. For some reason, Mercedes looked to be sharper without Lewis than when they had him. And I can't get it. I can't get quite why they look sharper than when they were with Lewis than without him. Because where are they in the standings currently?
Oh, Mercedes?
Yeah.
Constructors?
Yeah.
P2?
Exactly. And they've had 2 podium finishes in the last 2 races. Yeah. George has been looking incredible. The first race, Kimi Antonelli had a really, really, really good race. And he was also driver of the day in the second race.
Which I don't agree. But continue.
Umesema hiyo ni PR play.
Yeah, it is.
Something happening.
Even Toto was like, I think it's because of your looks.
Or your accent.
I'm just saying what is there.
He started P8, finished P8. Driver of the day.
I'm just,
Like what have you? Like that watchman who sleeps throughout the night and the thief comes in and gets electrocuted and is there being thanked by everybody how he caught him.
I mean, but if you're being honest, Mercedes look more solid than Ferrari this year from what we've seen so far.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of time. As in, if people are given enough time, of course they're going to fix whatever problems that they have. And that's the case. That's the case of the Mercedes, the W16. They have spent the entire 22 learning the car, 23 learning the car, 24 trying out to fix the car, and now 25, the last year of these regulations. Well, there are rumors that it might be extended for another 2 years, but this is still officially the last year of the regulations. Yeah. Then they coming back with all those learnings. With I remember they brought back James. I think his name is James Allison. This is like his third year or 2.5 years or something with this car. Definitely, they're going to cook something special.
I had something. I read something on Reddit, and they were talking about how they developed the 2025 car using Hamilton's data, because remember Hamilton was the guinea pig of that Mercedes. He was the one who was testing the Mercedes while George was actually trying to extract performance out of it. And a rumor has it, I can't verify this, it's still a rumor, but where they smoke this fire, rumor has it that Mercedes developed according to Hamilton's input and his insights based on the data they were collecting from him testing the car.
To be honest, we are not part of the technical team, so we don't really know. But what we actually know is the W16 is a Frankenstein of other, as in there are some features, and as in even just the sculpture of the body, they've copied that from other people. And again, this being the last year, it makes sense to see cars look similar. Because someone is looking, that car, they introduced this thing, maybe this has this effect on that car, let's introduce it on ours. Yeah. But to say that they developed the W16 solely on Hamilton's feedback.
No, it's not solely. I'm not saying solely, but I'm saying heavily.
And
don't know.
Even if they did, what's from... See,
There's
Hamilton
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, Hamilton was working for them.
Yeah, he gave feedback as a Mercedes driver.
Yeah, he was doing his job.
Okay.
Like you don't.
It's like
his job.
It's like when you're working for you are employed, and you invent something. My friend, that is not yours.
Yeah. He invented it under company hours.
Yeah.
Using company equipment.
Yeah.
We know how corporates operate. We know how corporates operate.
Yeah.
Anyway, now moving on. Still on the Hamilton situation. Startman himself, Mr. Mushiri. You're a man who loves team radios. And Hamilton was all over the team radios in the two races. And especially Melbourne, because there was a lot of controversy with his team radio with Adami. I think this is the first time they had this was his first GP with him. Now, Adami was Sainz's previous
Race engineer.
And he was also Vettel's race engineer. Now, there was a moment, I wouldn't call it a tense moment, but there was a moment of, just leave me to it, mate. Leave me to it. Let me do my thing. Press K1 button, K1 available. And he was like, yes, I know, leave me to it. And that whole thing, that whole scenario, was really, people milked the hell out of it, if we're being honest. People milked it. And Hamilton had to come out and say, listen, Max Verstappen has been fighting his race engineer, giving him verbal abuses day in, day out. But the little things I did with my race engineer for the first time, who I've met for the first time, you guys are trying to milk it. Why aren't you guys focusing on that? So, my question to you is, do you think the whole Hamilton team radio situation was blown out of context, and he's right that people should have been focusing on something other than him and his race engineer? Or do you think it's a shadow of things to come?
I think people are just blowing things out of proportion. I think every little thing that Hamilton does is being scrutinized, and people are like watching what he's doing and everything. And I think it's usually fueled by Hamilton fans, all those kind of talk.
Do you have a Hamilton fan here?
No.
You are. I thought you.
See, you're a Hamilton fan.
Who?
You. Now that he's in Ferrari.
No.
But anyway, for me, it's
I'm a Ferrari fan.
It's being blown out of proportion. But for me, the thing that caught my eye, or I found it in any, is the disqualification part about the use of the plank and as
Shanghai.
as I had mentioned earlier, I don't know what changed because Hamilton himself said that the car was different. And come race day, I think the Ferrari said because of his tire deg was high, that's why the car went a bit lower and cost the Nini. But those are just excuses. You're not supposed to go under. The plank should not reduce the thickness of the car. So that the reason why it caught my eye is because there was a similar disqualification when he was in Mercedes, isn't it?
Quarter 23.
Yeah.
There were two of them.
Charles and
It was still there was Charles and also Charles also got a penalty for being underweight. I don't know. Did they get rid of all the water?
It's
You remember that team radio did you see how people were tying that joke? They're complaining there's a lot of water, and he was told, okay, don't worry, Charles, we'll remove the water. But apparently they removed a lot of things other than water. It became underweight. So that's why it was underweight. But for Charles, I think for Ferrari, I think that is a mistake that shouldn't happen, because we also saw Max picking some dust because they also measure the tire. I mean, the weight of the car is measured with the tire.
Was it dust or the
marbles?
Yeah.
There's marbles and even dust. Even Lando, Lando did.
That remain on track.
Yeah, on the dirty side of the track, because they try to collect it on the dirty side of the track.
They're trying to be smart about it.
Yeah, so some things should never be happening, and this is the thing that the new Ferrari fans are experiencing.
Ferrari genuinely made a mistake. One, I don't think Hamilton didn't know, or he wasn't aware of the changes that were made to the car. Of course he knows. Of course he knows. Last year when he was at Mercedes, it was the same script. The car felt fine. Then after free practice to qualifying, it was a different car. And he always said, I think towards the end of the year, he said, we were making these changes, but they didn't work out come race day. It's the same thing. I don't think Hamilton didn't know. He knew. But what really stood out for me, and I think the Ferrari just pulled up another Ferrari, is because Melbourne, I think Ferrari they're also going to be picked for having a really low ride height. And they had to raise the car kidogo for Hamilton's case. And we all know that the lower and the stiffer you ride the cars, the more downforce the cars generate. So it's a risk and benefit kind of situation.
Yeah.
Did they lower the car too much? Yes. But what were they going to gain from it? Of course, performance. Yeah. Same thing on Charles' side. Did they underfuel the car? Yes. What is the advantage of underfueling the car? Performance. So they were gaining something from the changes that they made, but unfortunately they suffered the consequences of going over the limit. And we are talking about the 22, 23, 24, 25. We're talking about 4 years into these regulations, and people are still making kind of mistakes. I think Ferrari really dropped the ball there. And I don't think Ferrari has ever had such a horrendous start of the season. I can't think of... As in, we are race 2. How many points do they have? 17?
I don't know. But Haas... I think Haas has more points than Nini?
Than Ferrari?
Yeah. I think it's Williams. Williams are ahead of them in the standing.
But
Williams...
They're just 3 points. Ferrari has tied with Williams on points.
Yeah.
Sainz feels at home.
Nothing changed.
Nothing has changed.
But let me go back about the Ferrari strategy thing, because like even when you're interviewing people there at K1, and also even long-term people who have known Ferrari, the only thing we only say about Ferrari is strategy.
Yeah.
Because if you see at Melbourne, they stayed out too long.
Yeah, they made a blunder there.
They stayed out too long. I think
That pissed me off.
I think on the screen being P1 and P2 did look good.
Yeah, it did look good.
But it had a big cost because they stayed out too long. And as I always say, I can't say it's either Hamilton or it's Charles, Nini. It is all of them. It's Ferrari as a whole. Even if it was Sainz, even if it was Max in that Ferrari, it could have been the same thing.
I honestly disagree to some degree with that take. I don't think it's all of them. I think when these guys are practicing and when they're doing whatever they have to do, pre-race routines or whatever, and when they discuss the strategies behind closed doors, I think they're always on the same page. But when they come on track, everybody's now confused for some reason, because we had a situation whereby Charles was being asked to do something. What was Charles being asked to do? And he said no. He just said no. And
are we talking about the race on Sunday?
yeah. And it's a situation whereby, and we had a situation whereby Hamilton is being, it's like they think he's forgotten. He was like, hey, listen, K1 is available to you. And he was like, I know, just leave me to it. You get me? And I think the drivers are always in a situation whereby they feel they've already been sabotaged by their strategists or the guys at the pit wall.
No, I don't think so.
No, hear me out though. We have seen a tug of war between the drivers and the guys at the pit wall before at Ferrari with Sainz. When was it?
First of all, it's not only at Ferrari. It happens to all the
happens
drivers.
I know it happens
It
everywhere,
happens across, yeah.
but I don't want to say it happens differently at Ferrari, but it's more pronounced at Ferrari.
The last two races?
Yeah, especially the last two races.
Bro, have you seen what VCAB have been doing to their drivers?
But
Have you seen what VCAB has been doing to their drivers?
That's even worse.
That's worse.
Let's be honest.
Or it's an Italian thing.
Could be. But we have seen this before, and this is a team that is expected to challenge for the title because the McLarens are running away with it.
Bro, last year McLaren won the constructors by how many points?
I think ilikuwa kidogo.
How many points has Ferrari lost from this DQ? 18. Ferrari cannot afford to be making such mistakes.
It's crazy because we used to see McLaren make these mistakes, and now they've shaped up and they shipped out the people who are making the mistakes, and now they look like a proper team.
Bro, even Mercedes are. Have you been seeing Mercedes with their pit stops of late? Bro, they're hitting the 2.4.
Hawanitishi bana. Wewe uliona Charles Leclerc 2.0.
What are you saying?
Fastest pit stop of the weekend.
No, I'm not just looking at pit stops, but I'm looking at the step that people are making to move to rectify the issues. Ferrari are still making strategy blunders.
Yeah.
I was watching the race on Sunday. We're watching the race on Sunday, and then you're seeing Hamilton commit to a 2-stop, and you're like, why?
At this point, but sometimes the strategy goes out of the window because of the race situation.
But what happened is they had tires, they were graining at first, and then it's like they had two phases of graining. The first one, then the tire stabilizes, and then it's the second one is like when it is falling off. So when like Hamilton let Charles pass, it was like the first phase. And after that, even you saw Max, he said that the tires aren't good, and then after as the stint was going on, he started realizing, I can get more pace from these tires. Yeah. And even George said, I think I'm gonna do one stop.
Yeah,
it's because once you start and things change how maybe you didn't expect, you adapt to the situation. Charles somehow found the pace.
He had extra support from from his flexi wing. He had a flexi wing.
When the wing of a Ferrari is broken, that's when it performs.
He had a flexi wing.
So he was able to get at least pace from it and maintain.
That was a scary moment though, between him and Hamilton. That was a scary moment.
Yeah. So it was kind of funny, and sometimes making judgment during these times. Okay, we can sit here and bash them and say, they should have done this. But I know in game situation or in race situation, you have to think quickly and on your feet. You don't have to rely on what you spoke about.
Yeah, and you know, we're talking about Hamilton. Hamilton is he the most successful driver at Shanghai?
Yeah. I think yes.
As in he knows that track.
Yeah.
It's his track.
Yes.
He owns it.
Yes.
But it was resurfaced.
Yes, it was resurfaced.
Yeah.
But then, come on. And
Still.
we've been saying Hamilton. I think we've always had Hamilton in the tire whisperer chat.
Yeah.
This was
He mentioned it during the sprint. But I wanted to say he had clean air.
Yeah, and clean air is king.
Yeah, clean air is king.
In all fairness, he did win a race that weekend. He did win a race in Shanghai. So, hey, you guys trying
He won the wrong race.
A win is a win. A win is a
20
win.
laps.
It's still a win.
Okay.
It's still a win.
Okay,
A win is
okay.
a win. But I'm trying to move on though. But before I move on, I'm going to ask this. Do you think, with what we've seen so far, before the season starts in Tokyo, do you think...
Tokyo?
Yeah.
There's something else happening in Tokyo.
No, I'm saying the season is starting in Tokyo the weekend of 4th and
Is
6th.
Suzuka in Tokyo? That's the question.
Japan. Sorry. My head is stuck in Tokyo. Suzuka, Japan.
Under you.
Yeah, do not worry. I've been watching a lot of anime. Anyway, do you think the Ferrari has the pace, or will it live up to the expectations of it challenging the McLaren with what we've seen from McLaren so far?
Looking at Suzuka, how good is the Ferrari in high speed corners? I know straight line speed, they have it.
They have the straight line speed.
How is it performing?
Startman.
Medium to high speed corners.
Me when I look at Ferrari it has some shades of last year's McLaren, where even if you have the fastest car, and Ferrari being Ferrari, it is. I'm still not convinced. Even if they are faster than McLaren, they can win the championship. So when you talk about taking the fight to McLaren, there's some asterisks. Even if that car is like fast on those high speed corners, even on medium speed corners and everything, I don't have the faith in them to execute and come through when it matters to win a championship.
Yeah, well, if you look at race 1 and race 2, then you can. I'm also on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
Come on, Ferrari can't be dropping points like that, man. They can't. They can't afford that.
That's not how champions.
Last year, Ferrari finished P3, P4 at Suzuka. So the P1, P2 was Red Bull. So I think Ferrari have a good run at Suzuka.
Speaking of the McLarens, let's just talk about it. Two races in, they've won the first 2 races.
Yep.
And they are looking like they're running away with it. But we know this is a marathon, not a sprint. Are you guys expecting them to... How do I put it? Are you guys expecting them to build a lead that they can cushion before Barcelona and the regulations are enforced?
If I use last year as a case study, you really can't say that they might run with this. They might run with this thing all the way maybe until Barcelona or even after Barcelona. And I'm basing this on how Red Bull performed last year, the first 4 races, or the races before Miami. Clearly, personally, I was on that train that Max is going to win every goddamn race.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you know what happened.
Exactly.
They fell off a cliff, but everyone else pulled up. Okay. McLaren might suffer the same fate. And I'm basing this on FIA made some changes to the permissible or the allowance or that gap between the main plane on the rear wing, the main plane and the DRS, the upper plane, the DRS car flap. So they revised it from 2 millimeters to 0.75. Yes, you can say that is negligible, but in my head, I was looking forward to seeing who's going to suffer the most come Shanghai. I didn't see McLaren with that advantage that they had from Bahrain testing.
Even from Melbourne.
From Melbourne.
Yeah.
So Suzuka, it's going to be reduced to 0.5.
You know what it depends on? What I observed is the tire compound. Like the softer we go, the softer. Like I think in Melbourne we had this the red tire was the softest. Was it C? Is it C5?
C5?
Yeah. So the softer the tire, we are using, the bigger the advantage McLaren will have. If we go to a track whereby maybe we are using
the harder compounds.
the C1s, the C2, and the C3, the advantage will disappear.
Interesting.
I haven't looked at it through the lenses you've looked at it through, but that makes some sense because when I look at it, what he's saying does actually make some sense because
it's because
Shanghai,
they're able to
the final few laps of Shanghai. Well, what happened? Did Lando lose his brakes or something?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Well, I don't really know what happened, but like they weren't really comfortable. They were not comfortable.
Yeah,
and you
that
could
car,
tell
the MCL. Sorry, I wanted to land and then sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
So I was basically saying last year's situation, whatever happened to Red Bull might actually happen even to McLaren. And my last point is Lando didn't seem quite at home or comfortable with that car in free practice and quali in China.
Yeah.
Could see him locking up the tires.
Couple of
Could see
mistakes.
Yes, he made a couple of mistakes. And last year we didn't see Lando do these things. And also Melbourne, we didn't see him do. You remember there was a time you said he had like one chance to put in a lap
and he
took pole.
Yeah.
He was one with that car.
Yeah.
I didn't see him do that in China. So maybe that car it's not hooked or it's not on rails as you think it is. And maybe it could be the tire compounds. Of course the resurfacing of the track it makes the car go faster, but it also chews up the tires faster. And also with the restrictions that FIA is bringing in the middle of the races, that could also be playing a part. As a Red Bull, as a Red Bull fan.
Do
you have your cup in two times?
As a Red Bull fan, of course, I'd love to see McLaren.
Ngoja. Umemwambia tema hiyo mate. And this is the guy who's rooting for us to win the championship this year. Say I'm lying.
No, I was about to say as a Ferrari fan.
Aren't you a Ferrari fan pseudo in some degree?
Ferrari makes beautiful cars.
Road going cars,
yes.
Yeah.
Bwana, you don't want Hamilton or Leclerc to win the championship.
No.
Who's your favorite to win the championship this season? Who's your favorite to win the championship this season?
My favorite?
It's Max.
Hey, come on.
Of course, I'm going to say Max.
It's always
I'm
Max.
that Delulu, man.
Listen, we are pulling the files from last year. He was there and he was like, hey, come on, you guys, but Hamilton and Leclerc, I know something can happen.
Yeah. Of course, I don't want Lando to win this championship. I don't want.
Can't live in a world where Lando is a champion.
Yes. So it's a question of who is in the best position to take this away from Lando.
Yeah.
We have Ferrari drivers and we have Oscar Piastri.
And we have Piastri.
And now I think George, Mr. Consistency, might actually pull up.
Hey, George has the name Mr. Consistency.
If George taps it home.
Since when has George been Mr. Consistency?
George has been super consistent. George has been consistent.
2 races, George has been on the podium.
George has been
I know, but
not even 2 races. I think if you go back 5 races back, George has been consistent 5 races back.
From
the last 3.
Hey, bro. Hey, George is in the picture.
Okay.
George.
No, the picture of championship, yes, but in terms of consistency, that is the first time I'm hearing
Is he
it.
in the championship picture right now?
Yes.
Exactly.
George has always been called Mr. Saturday and Mr. Consistency.
Hey, George is consistent.
Okay, I've never heard that.
Listen, I might not be all in on the guy, but hey, you can't take that away from him. So, thank you for the layup. Now let me slam dunk it home. Lando v Piastri. Now, before you answer that, please explain to the fans who are watching along at K1, because there was a moment during the race you were like, can I use profanity?
No, you cannot.
Yes, I can. Fuck Lando Norris. So what was that all about?
Who said that?
You.
I didn't say that.
Hey, he did. He shouted all the way to the back, and everybody was like,
"No,
what the hell is this guy on? What did they put in your breakfast?"
No. I was just having coffee and a full English breakfast. I didn't say F Lando Norris.
Yes, you did.
I just wasn't having the back and forth, the radio chat that Lando was having with his race engineer. I had flashbacks of Hungary, when the team had to blackmail Lando. I had flashbacks of a situation where McLaren wanted...
You were the dog in the image and the World War pictures.
They wanted to gut Piastri again to give Lando an opportunity. I had a flashback of Melbourne.
No, that's...
I had a flashback.
You as an expression. Yeah. You wanted to gut him.
I had a flashback. I'm sorry if this is too violent. But I had
graphic.
Yeah, graphic.
It's too graphic.
I had another flashback of what they did to Piastri. Race 1. Don't race. And then when Lando has pulled a gap to 2.7 seconds, they're like, now you're free to race. Like, what the hell? This is Oscar's home race. God damn it.
So they
Unfortunately,
were
yes,
subject to
they did that thing to Oscar, and Oscar was like, you just wait. I'm going to show you.
But one thing about
Shanghai, he pulled up.
What?
And I think Oscar should be moving with that energy.
I think is it Makweba? He's
Makweba?
Yeah, I think Makweba has done a really good job.
Does he produce adrenaline?
who?
Yesterday.
Unless you put a camera inside the helmet to see.
I've never had him like.
Oh, there was a story. I think the mother was telling us a story. When he looks at Piastri, he doesn't express any emotions. But one time they were cycling, they had that thing monitors the heart rate, and the whole time, the only time it is spiked, it's when the mother had an accident. So he was like, "Oh, so Piastri does feel something."
Ferrari mafia, you know what to do.
Leave us out of it.
Get in that man's head. You know what to do.
Leave us out of it. We have our own problems to deal with. Anyway, moving on from the McLarens, we've mentioned the Mercedes is Kimi looking impressive at Melbourne and George looking good, being Mr. Consistent. So I don't think we have enough meat on that. We can now finally move on to the Red Bulls. Yeah, as you can see, the color left him. He's now on grays. That's how bad it is at Red Bull. Mimi nitaingilia ipanya grays hadi ishe. Because Red Bull is a colorful team. See, rebels of the sport: yellow, red, blue.
Proceed.
You're now on the grays. What's going on?
With what? With Red Bull?
I'm asking him what's going on with Red Bull because Max, tulikuwa na expression when we were watching the race. I don't know if you remember the expression. Kama Chopia anababaika hivyo. Okay, so translation.
Yeah,
the smartest kid in the classroom is struggling on the test. What do you think is happening to the other kids? Have you ever gone into a classroom and you're having your exam or you're taking your exam and the smartest kid is sweating? The smartest kid. That's when you know it's tough. That's when T for tough. And guys are trying to downplay Max Verstappen. And I was looking at some of the group comments and guys were like, Max ameisha sijui, Max is done for, Max is dusted. And I'm like, do you guys understand the situation Max is in? The Red Bull car Max is driving, the other car is not Haitoki Q3. The other car haitoki Q3. Imetoka Q3 even once.
No.
You can even look at the sprints if you want to include the sprints. Q3 haitoki. This is the car Max is dealing with because we're assuming they're the same car. And Max is trying. Now, he hunt down, who was it? Charles.
Your boy.
Yeah, my boy, Lord Percival himself. Il Predestinato. He hunt him down.
How was that overtake?
We were dealing with issues. Me, I was okay with the P4, P5.
It was beautiful.
I was okay with it until the DSQ. But I've told you, Ferrari are gunning for the unholy trinity: DSQ, DNF, and DNS.
Excuses.
So the DSQ is already done for. Now we are getting the DNF. Once we get the DNF, we get the DNS. Once we get those three, we are now good. Ama, wacha niwaambie wale the Monza
we are talking about Red Bull.
Pole. I'm getting carried away. Pole. I apologize. My biases are showing.
Going over the limit just like Ferrari.
You're giving me an inch, I'm taking a mile.
Yeah. So it's a continuation of last year. We ended last year with the fourth fastest car. We still have the fourth fastest car. Yeah. And yes, you'll see Max qualify P2. You'll see Max finishing P4. But it's because Max is extracting maximum performance and even more from that car. But of course, just Max is a human being just like everyone. And at Shanghai, I think I saw something that I've never seen happen before at Red Bull. I think I even told you, I told the guy who was sitting next to me. GP was now Max's race engineer. He was actually giving Max words of encouragement. Just keep up.
At it, mate. Keep at it,
That's
mate.
a good pace. Just keep up. you are reeling him in. Just keep up. Yeah. And I was like, what? I have never had this As in, I've never had Max being given words of encouragement. Max has
Some
always
pep
been
talk.
Yes, Max has always been, I know what I'm going to do, just leave me to it. Yeah. And to me, this was just a confirmation of the team is so unsure with the car in terms of can it even challenge? Leave even for a win, but even for a podium. Yeah. One, the car it was just snappy. Not just for Lawson, but also for Max. Yeah. The car was chewing through its tires, like properly. Yes, everyone was chewing through their tires, but there are a couple of cars that were excessively going through their tires. And it got to a point where I think Max was he had like that doubt. Like, yes, I'm in no man's land, but am I going to chase? Am I going to get that person in front of me? Yeah. Remember, you're talking about how on Saturday, Hamilton put Max in a situation where Max had to use his tires.
Yeah.
Because Max was like, I'm going to overtake this guy for the win.
Yeah.
But Hamilton actually had everything under control.
Yeah.
So Max pushing the car, he fell off, and that's how he was able to be fed back to the person who was behind. So I think on Sunday, he had to drive that car in conservative mode. He didn't want to go over the limit. Yeah. And I think, okay, you can argue all drivers didn't want to go over the limit because everyone was suffering through tire deg. But you could clearly see Max was okay being in no man's land. Stint 1, the mediums, that Red Bull went through the tires really quick. Yeah. And to me, again, that just confirmed that this car, they just don't have it hooked up yet.
Yeah.
Melbourne, they brought in, I don't know, was it 19 upgrades or something? So I think they're still learning the car. And Shanghai, again, it was a mixed bag. Saturday and Sunday conditions, different. Track was just repaved. The tire deg was too high. Still trying a couple of things. You have your number 2 driver who's supposed to help the team understand the package. He's I don't know. He's just going off the track and just having his own side quests. I know it's laughable, but it's not looking good for Red Bull and the RB21. Yes, people are saying that Red Bull is hoping that come Barcelona, when now the flexi wing changes come in full effect, then the RB21 might stand out and become the car to beat. But you see, hope is not a strategy. You can't hope that McLaren and Ferrari and Alpine and everyone else who has flexible wings, they're going to fall off come Barcelona. We're talking about right now. So if you only have one driver who's pushing that car into, not even into the podiums, into P4s, and you have the other driver
Solid P16, P17, P20.
Yeah. It just paints a picture that Max is actually driving that car beyond its limits. And that car, it's a solid P4.
Whether or not he's driving it to the limits, hatujajua bado confirmed, but for now, the jury is still out, but we can agree on that for now. But the jury is still out. We don't know really what's happening with that car, but I can agree to some degree. Listen,
the car it doesn't have the pace.
Yeah.
Straight line speed, it has straight line speed.
All I can say for sure.
Wait. But when it comes to the corners, especially slow corners, slow and medium to slow corners, it suffers a lot. Remember they did Max's onboard lap, and then they had a Ferrari ghost car. I don't know if you guys saw that video, and you could clearly see the Ferrari had better traction off corners.
Sasa before ukini cut off, nilikuwa nataka kusema all I can say for sure ni this is number 33. Max Verstappen. Go shine it up. Shine it up nice. This is number 33. You're number 1. Plan to let it go. Aanze kujipanga, you know.
But
that's all I can say for sure.
Me I still have confidence in Max. Okay, I what I'm hoping is that Red Bull, they might improve that car, even if that car becomes like the third fastest car, or even the second fastest car.
I'm okay with that.
Max will take it all the way to the top.
Sasa, let me break the ice. I am telling you for a fact. This is a hill I'm willing to die on. Not that Max is not a good driver. He is an exemplary driver. You know my sentiments on Max, like where I stand on Max Verstappen. In fact, I go as far as kumuita Messi wa F1. like he and the Lionel Messi of Formula 1. Technically, I don't see any driver superior to him currently on that grid. I really don't.
So what do you want to see?
What I want to say is that number 33, shine it up real nice. Inakuja back pale mbele Red Bull. But I'm not saying that ati kumtroll ama anything. I mean, but
yeah, as in that's a possibility.
No, it's not a possibility. It's a situation that will happen. This is a spoiler.
It's
too early.
It's still a possibility. Personally, I'm looking forward to Suzuka.
Check
because Suzuka has more high speed corners.
Which tires are we using in Suzuka?
I think it's the C4, C3, C2.
That's good.
Yeah. It's the harder compounds.
Okay, that's good.
If that car doesn't work at Suzuka, then I know we are cooked up to Barcelona.
Umesema Suzuka is your litmus test.
Yeah. The other reason why I have confidence in Max, the people in the media are asking him, like, how long are you going to give Red Bull until the car comes to performance? And he said, I don't know why people you keep asking me the same question. Mm-hmm. But where I am very happy. Like, he's happy with where he is. I mean, he has already achieved a lot.
Highest paid driver, 4-time world champion.
Yeah, he's being paid.
Almost all records broken.
Yeah.
In terms of dominance, the 2023 season ilikuanga tu his Magna Carta. Yeah, tutaita hivyo.
So he doesn't really think much about that. What he thinks about is when he gets into the car, he just wants to give the best when he's in the car. And for me, when I look at athletes, even in other sports, sometimes what makes them a bit better than the others is the support system they have off the track, like how they are with the family and everything. If everything is good, and the only thing that you need to worry about is how you can drive that car as fast as possible, then I'm happy with that, because I know that even if if they just improve it a little bit, and he is consistently on the podium, Lando and Piastri, they will be taking points each other off. Ferrari, they'll be doing their own thing, and they'll come back and maybe win the championship with a few points. So I still have hope.
Zach Brown is convinced Max will be going to Mercedes next year.
Before we get into the Zach Brown saga, mlikuwa mnaongelea story ya Max. Now we've touched on a few things that we also need to discuss. The Lawson situation. Now, at the time of this recording, rumors are circulating that Liam Lawson is going to be replaced by Yuki Tsunoda. Before I ask you, what are your thoughts on the whole him being replaced situation? We know he hasn't gotten into Q3 yet in a Red Bull, the fourth fastest car on the grid. That's crazy. But do you think Lawson is solely to blame on the situation?
No.
Can't blame a rookie.
Is he a rookie?
Car,
technically. Okay.
the Red Bull cars have always been troublesome to drive. Max has made it look easy. And people usually say it's the car has been built around Max. That is not true.
You disagree with that statement?
Yeah, it's not true.
Me too. What about you?
About what?
The whole thing about Red Bull, the car has been built towards Max. And I'm not even a Red Bull fan.
What I know is Max said that whatever he's doing with that car, no one else can do.
You're taking his word for
Even if you put Charles there or you put Hamilton, no one can do what he does with that car.
So it could be that Red Bull's philosophy has always been their fastest car that they have theoretically, and what they actually translate in terms of engineering effort into a physical car. Maybe Max is able to tame that beast. Because if I look at Gasly, if I look at Albon, I look at Checo, they have all struggled.
Lawson.
And now Lawson. So I really can't say that Lawson is a shitty driver. No. The drivers before him, the drivers who sat on that seat, they've also gone through the same. Yeah. And I'm not taking away from Lawson. Lawson is not a shitty driver. As in last year when you pit him against Yuki. He didn't beat Yuki, like eventually, but he was so close to Yuki. So you really can't say that Lawson doesn't know how to drive a car. No. If you look at his resume at Super Formula, he was really good at Super Formula. Also the other disciplines, F2, if you look at whatever he's done previously, he's achieved a lot. Formula One is a different beast. There's pressure, especially coming into a team like Red Bull. All eyes are on you, and also us as fans, sometimes we also put that pressure, or we
the drivers,
or we encourage such narratives to continue because we are fans. We disagree, we hate, or we don't love some teams. But the moment you overlook the difficulty which is driving that car, and you just pin it on the driver, then now you see how these narratives are actually given life. Look at the Checo narrative. Checo downhill. Checo, Red Bull needs to get rid of Checo. But Max actually came and said, you know what, Checo is actually trying his best. That car has problems. That car has problems.
Yeah, he even came to defense of Lawson.
Yeah, in defense of Lawson. And nimekuwa nikisikia hadithi hekaya. I've been hearing stories that Max Verstappen doesn't want Yuki promoted into that Red Bull. Apparently, he believes Yuki is on a good upward trajectory, and him coming into that Red Bull will actually
at this moment in time
will end his actually upward form. And I think it's easy for us, the fans, to call it out. Like yesterday, I got into it with some of the group members. I don't know if you guys were reading along, and I was telling, and they were like, it's one thing for first things first. I don't know why people hate Lawson so much. They were like, Lawson is like this and he has an attitude, he wants to be like Max, he's trying to be like Max. And I'm like, no, it's okay to be brash, it's okay to be blunt, just like you're talking about Helmut and being blunt. It's okay to be blunt, and I really respect him for that, because I know he believes in what he is, and I respect it because I can see glimpses of that thing. You get me? That excellence, if I can call it that. I know it's weird for me to call it excellence with him not even getting past the Q3, but looking at what he's done before, looking at his resume, he is allowed to talk that way because he hasn't disrespected anybody. All he said was some harsh truths. He said, I'm here to win. That's one thing he said. Like, it's not a bad thing to say that. I don't get why people are so offended by him being blunt with his words. And we were talking about it, and I called it having a backbone. He's a driver with a backbone, and we had a back and forth, and guys were like, Yuki deserved that seat more than Lawson, blah blah blah, this that, and I'm like, didn't Red Bull have their own trials for the drivers to know who is going to replace Checo? Didn't they have that? Didn't they have drivers testing the older cars to gather data?
I think it was Imola.
Yeah, Yuki was given a chance. Daniel Ricciardo was given a chance. Lawson was also given a chance, right? So if Lawson was the one who was picked, that means it was a merited call. Unless I'm living in a different world. These guys were all given the same car, and they had a chance to spin it out, to take it for a spin, and they had data that was recorded from that, and they looked at the data. They did the analysis, and they saw, you know what? Lawson is the man who deserves the seat. So the whole, Yuki bandwagon, and I get it. Like, Yuki deserves a shot at the big teams. I also get it. But don't try and discredit Lawson. Don't try and take it away from his mouth. Because if you're looking at developmental, the funnel, I think Lawson should have gotten that Red Bull chance way earlier. Because Checo, they bared with Checo for a minute.
Well, the ultimate question would be, anyone who's replacing Checo has to either have better potential in terms of being a better number 2 driver than Checo, or at that point in time they have to be better than Checo. And that's the dilemma that Red Bull is in at the moment. And I do agree, at this point in time, the RB21, it's a career-ending car.
Yeah.
If Yuki takes that number 2 seat,
that's a good tagline.
That's actually what I wanted to ask. Whether is it of Yuki's interest to go to RB21 to drive that car? Is it to his best interest?
He's spoken on the situation, and he said he was asked, do you want to get into that Red Bull in Japan? And he was like, yeah, absolutely, it's faster than the V-Cab, so I'll love the chance. Then I think Lawson replied whether he can say what he wants. I've beaten him everywhere. Kitukayo. But yeah.
But you see, the thing is, he will always, if Yuki takes that seat, he's going to be compared to Max.
That's the problem.
He's going to be compared to Max. And people are going to be asking, like, okay, now you're not qualifying P18, you're qualifying P11. Why are you qualifying P11? Why are you a second or 8/10 of Max? And that's why I was in my argument I said sometimes we as fans we don't acknowledge the difficulty which is the car and the exceptional talent that Max is. We just think it's all up to the driver, which is unfair because we are leaving out the main context which actually makes sense.
Yeah, and maybe Yuki, yes, does deserve a chance, and maybe Yuki can make a difference because you don't know. You know, Yuki, the way he talks, he seems to be very confident in his abilities. To drive. I think he also drove the car, and he said it is faster. Yeah, like you said, it is much better, and he would love that chance. So I think he has.
He drove the RB20.
Oh, the RB20, right? Yeah. He has maybe he has confidence in himself, and I think they parted with Honda. So I think it might be easier for him to get that seat, but I'm not sure. But if you ask me, they should have like an agreement of how they are going to be rotating. You see, the people from RB, the drivers from RB, and the second seat should be like one team. you rotate the drivers there. You see,
wajue ni nani ana next.
Yeah,
next.
I mean they can do it. Yeah, they can do it, and I don't think they will be breaking any rules just to see. Because right now that second seat, as you said, it can be career ending, but you don't want it to be a career ending seat. You don't want Yuki to go there and somebody else to already take his position at RB, and when things go, he's kicked out and he doesn't have a place to go. Like Checo,
he won't go back anywhere.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, that's the nini. But if
you have to be smart about it.
If they can put it in a way that whereby the driver doesn't have that much pressure, like in that second seat, whereby we have a reserve driver, Nini. So we try you. Even you reserve driver, you want to drive the RB21? Yes. Kuja.
Give it a go. Practice one.
Let's see what you can do. If they just like give that security, because I think Lawson is like, if I get kicked out, where am I going to go?
Exactly.
So it adds the pressure, and it can also affect how we perform while driving the car.
Of course it does. And I don't want to see him getting kicked out before even going to Suzuka. I think he just needs a few more races.
You think he needs a few more? Okay.
Up to Barcelona.
Yeah.
At minimum.
Yeah, minimum.
Oh damn. You don't think it will have like detrimental impacts on your championship
constructors? I already told last year we are not in the constructors fight.
Yeah.
Sour.
Yes, Honda will say, we need the number 2 car in the constructors, but come on, Christian.
And we can't introduce the money issue, because I saw how that money is being divided. Did you see? Like Ferrari, Ferrari is earning more from the heritage than
the mafia.
From that heritage thing than when they finished P2 in constructors. Can you imagine?
Sasa hatujataja merchandise ya Hamilton. Tukitaja hiyo.
Anyway, so I don't think we're in the fight for constructors, but I think, as we said, people should get a chance, and that was Red Bull's way.
Back to factory settings. Pale P4, P3, P4, P3. Merudi.
Yeah, I said Red Bull, as much as Mnazaibash, it is the one that is giving more drivers chances to drive than any other team.
Okay.
Even if it is 3 races, it is a chance which they never get in McLaren.
Ruthlessness is actually, the upside of that ruthlessness is actually giving everybody a chance.
Yeah.
Na kuna team fulani in retirement home.
Williams.
Chano jamaa.
Ferrari.
Anyway, now with that said, Tokyo. You guys, I know.
Tokyo.
Japan. Pole. I've watched this. Anyway, Japan. 8 a.m. Suzuka, yeah. Japan 8 a.m. Suzuka. We'll be watching it live at K1. So please, if you're looking to have a team of supporters watching Formula 1, we'll be there. We'll be watching it live. Come, enjoy, scream. There'll be breakfast, mujibambe.
It is a breakfast. Ama, you should like say the details of the break. No, when you say breakfast, people don't know what it is.
See, watakuja wakule bacon, mayai, some eggs, toast,
Yes.
kenye unataka.
Yeah.
Coffee, ile ya Nescafe bana.
Coffee or
tea, kenye unataka.
coffee, yeah.
Ya maziwa, ya plain, whatever you want. Kuja karibu.
So you wake
Jibambe.
up and don't even shower.
Ukuje tu venye uko. Kuja venye uko utarudi
Hey,
uoge
Ramens,
baadaye.
you came with a blanket. Ama, what was that?
Yes, ulikuja na
No,
blanket.
it was a Masai show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unakuja hapo.
It was a bit cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kuja unajifurahisha.
Unamka kuja na blanket from the bed.
Yeah.
Kuja ukule.
We want to interview you. We want to interview you. We'll try and put a lot of fun segment into the pod, incorporate it. You guys make us do what we are doing currently. Saini hapo usiku, it's almost midnight. We're shooting this for you. So please come show some love. Tell your friends about us, what wanapenda F1. Tell them about us even more. Follow us on socials. Thank you, by the way. And we just crossed the 1,000 followers mark pale IG. We really do appreciate it. Yes. And we'd really want to share more experiences with you guys. So tafadhali kujeni, tell your guys about us. Pia pale YouTube, please subscribe. Help us grow so that we can get to where we want to be and give you more content. We want to churn this content out as much as possible, give you some more context takes. We want to do everything. Yeah? So peace. I've been AS the Troubleman himself, joined here by
Just done.
and jina yako tafadhali tukisign out.
Mashiri.
Yeah, follow us on socials. Catch you on the next one. Peace.